Hey everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom. So, the other day I was outside and there was something that I noticed, and it was by an area that had construction on it some time ago. And what it was I'm not even really sure what you call it, but it looked like a really kind of a long nail, but the bottom portion of it had the markings for like a screw. I can't even say what the name of that is, but anyway. But the overall thing is that you knew that it wasn't a nail, right? And when I looked at it, the feeling that I got is that somebody was having the attitude of giving in, um, like throwing in the towel. But words that people use they would say, ah, just screw it, right? So that was what came to me when I saw that there was someone who was feeling that, like they're just kind of um, letting something go, um, giving up on something, a situation. So you can look at that word as one can feel defeated, right? But it doesn't have to be about defeat. It can be just simply surrendering and letting go, right? And a choosing to let it go, especially because this was sitting outside on the ground, um, as if something or a situation was just simply discarded, like they just let it go. Um, Now, when we look, the other thing that is because we exist in a world of opposites or dualities. The other thing that came to me at that same time was, had that been a nail, terms that people might use or think of would be nailed it, right? Like, think about when someone is excited and they go on a job interview or something, whatever. Maybe they took some type of an exam for college, and they feel like they nailed it, right? That it went great. But then when you think about, the kind of the spoof things, like when someone's making a cake, or they were making a cake or some type of a dinner, or they were trying to do a replica of something, the original, and it was beautiful and whatever, but then there would be a spoof on it that says, yeah, nailed it. So they would put like the original picture of the first one, and then someone attempting to copy it, and the spoof would be uh, saying, yeah, they nailed it. And some people have the ability to laugh at themselves because they gave it a try, right? But they found out maybe that was more challenging than they expected, or somebody else, they just maybe had a good laugh about it. But that could be another thing that is coming up, where someone has been trying to duplicate someone's work, and they thought they nailed it. They thought they had this down, and but their the work was seen through, right? It was clearly aware to others that this person did not nail it. And so this person ended up just giving giving up, letting it go. They're no longer doing this type of thing, portraying to be someone, take their property, their intellectual property, trying to copy, um, act as if they are someone else. And that is actually interesting too in this place and space and time that we are in, which is happens to be December 7th, 2025 as I record this, and AI is really taking off right now, right? And there's so many permissions that people want, and if you aren't careful about what permissions you're giving, um, it's like people are just, taking this, like having these kind of backgrounds for me is just kind of something that I've just been trying, just because I have some stuff on the shelf back here. It's kind of just not organized. And so that's why I just haven't dealt with it. But people, take other people's property and do stuff with it. So the thing is that, um, that message came through that this whoever was trying to do that is saying no. And I also believe as a society that we need to be aware of what we're saying yes to in the realm of that, or what do we just go along with. Oh, better keep up with the times, right? And it's interesting that this is coming up yet again, because I had this come up about like a school of fish. Everyone else is doing it. You hear people say, better get on board or you'll be left behind. What is that? That's a fear tactic. It's also potentially an ego of someone speaking to someone who may not be on that trajectory, if you will, right? And so I think I just released this video. What maybe is for you or for everyone else isn't for you, right? So just some things to be aware of. Now, this is kind of interesting. I found this box of cards somewhere randomly, didn't go looking for them. I stumbled across them. I haven't really been through them, but it's called A Wise Democracy Pattern Language, and it shows power, participation, and wisdom in circles that kind of overlap, right? And so I thought I would just take some of these cards and I want to see what comes up. Do we just go along to get along? Do we say, you know what, this is working for me? What's in soul alignment? This isn't working for me. Do we try to get people on board with us, right? Because we all have a right to choose, and what we give energy to will expand, and what we take our energy away from will dissipate. So, maybe if, the AI thing is for you, then that's for you, right? But it's like my encouragement for everyone is to just do some self-reflection on that. And what does this mean for the whole, not just for one person or a select few? What does it mean for the whole? And the thing with AI is about algorithms. It doesn't have the capacity to feel. And that is why humans are very precious, because we have human emotions and we can tap into our senses and or be sensitive to certain things, situations, topics, whatever that is. And so it is up to us to realize when something is working for us or not. Okay, so I've shuffled these. I'm just going to go ahead and take this card here. They're kind of out of order. You know what? That is so interesting that this card came up. I said I haven't even been through these, so I don't know. But the card is holistic leadership and governance dynamics. So I'm going to just show you the card. Okay, and let's see what it says. It says a fragmented, one-sided leadership and management of our collective affairs impedes the wisdom and the resourcefulness of the whole of everyone, right? One-sided leadership. So what we're looking at here, talking about, is the idea of unity and thinking about more than just one person, one small group, right? So promote organizing modes that generate free abundance from the fractal, holonic, networked, and self-organizing capacities of whole systems and their powers of synergy, participation, distributed functionality, life energy, resilience, and more. So again, that would be like holistic leadership and government dynamics. That's about including the whole life energy, resilience, and more. How we look at things, how things function. I just want to see if all of these are the same. They are on this side. So holistic leadership, and that is so interesting. I have goosebumps. That is one of the things that is happening, right? When we think about our world, that it's been going green and, holistic, the whole, thinking of the whole of people, not just little fragments, right? What is the betterment for all, for the highest and best of all? Ooh, I have goosebumps. Okay, so what else do we have? Cooperative ownership as stewardship. Okay, so what it says is extractive absentee ownership tends to undermine whole system well-being. So that would be like large corporations swooping in and owning are monopolizing and owning a lot of places where locals are, right? But they don't live there. So what is their true, if they don't live there and things aren't affecting them as much, then they don't really have, they may have finances in the game, but they aren't living in it. And this is actually really interesting that this card comes up because I was watching a television show recently where this one town was, there was one town that was trying to take over another town. And so the second town was trying to show how unique they were to save themselves. And anyway, their final straw was to become a historic town. And that's what they did. And that's how they remained who they were, right? So let's get back to this. Extractive absentee ownership tends to undermine the whole system of well-being. Ownership of a resource by those who cooperatively create, sustain, and use it, especially when that ownership doesn't restrict access. It tends to engender whole system well-being. So support broad ownership by stakeholder stewards willing and able to care for resources on behalf of all involved. So this would definitely be like community, think about like community gardening. I always have this vision of like the community shed, for instance. So if you think about all these homes that, let's, just say homes in neighborhoods, and everyone has extension ladders and everyone has rakes and everyone has, whatever, leaf blowers and, lawn mowers and all of this stuff. And every home has it. Does every home have to have it? What if there was like a community thing that said, there's, instead of having 20 of each of these, there are 3 or 4, so that there's enough for if people need them, but then they get replaced as they're needed versus everyone having one sitting there. And so this is also about taking care of our earth and how much we're pulling from the earth, right? Gets back to that same idea. So quite a nice message. All right, let's see what else comes up here. integral political will. So I'm going to just hold the card up. And it says political will is the systemic vector driving governance decision making. It is often ascribed to courageous politicians, passionate interest groups, or the public. In a wise democracy, political will arises from the shared understanding and commitment of all players. So promote practices and institutions that foster the development of a wise, whole system political will. Okay, so really interesting. I'm just going to stop at those 3 cards. Again, all of the message here, the bigger message here is looking at the whole of the group versus just the self, just small collectives. You know, what is the betterment for for all. Okay. I'm going to go to a deck called the Healing Energy Oracle. Let's see what comes up here as a follow-up to those. These are really long cards. I have to shuffle them down here. Can't get my hands around them otherwise. Okay. All right, so we have courage. You know, that's interesting. And we have the same color orange, right? So courage, it takes courage, right? To be a holistic leader, to set an example in a different way, to do something different than what has always been done before, right? I am stronger than fear and I am bigger than doubt. I am light and I remain light. I trust in God and I stand tall before the tests of life. I grow and I become wiser through every challenge. I am a being of new life, right? Think about that. Creating new life for others, new ways, helping others to see that there is more than one way, or more than just the old way of doing things. Okay, the next one we have is under the cooperative ownership of stewardship, we have the divine fruit. Okay, again, this orange color. Orange is representative of our joy center. It says, as I work to improve and free myself, I strengthen my foundations, right? My intellect is light, my heart is warmth, and my soul is strength. I am nurtured by the divine sun. The fruit I bear reflects my inner light. Lovely message, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. The fruit I bear reflects my inner light. So what kind of, let's say, fruit are you producing, right? What do you produce? What do you create? Whether that is, kind words, right? Whether you write, whether you draw, paint, create music, whether you cook lovely meals, right? Make or bake lovely foods, right? What type of fruit are you producing? And is it reflecting your inner light, right? If you are to look at your collective of what you produce in whatever form that is, this is just the question to ask oneself. And also you can reflect on a journey, because maybe there was a point in your life where what you were creating was heavier or darker because you were moving through something and yet it was coming out. But as you started to heal, you started to see more light come into that, and maybe more people becoming more receptive to the work because you were growing, they were appreciating your work, right? And so, again, maybe what once was heavier work has evolved, right? Think about music. Musicians who might start out in one genre, I'm, this is just whatever kind of music. Maybe it was heavier or darker or whatever, but as they evolved and grew, they started to shift maybe the type of music that they released, right? And so this is something that we can do regularly, self checks. I like this. What kind of fruit am I bearing? And is it reflecting my inner light, or what else is it reflecting? Heaviness, right? And do I have some healing work to do because there might be some heaviness in it? So just kind of that self check, if you will. Okay, the next one we have is unconditional love. This falls under the political will. Again, the integral political will. It is often ascribed to courageous politicians, passionate interest groups, or the public. Unconditional love, right? My heart is free from resentment towards others. I open the eyes of my heart, and I discover the light and beauty in every being, right? I am aware that suffering can cause distress and hurt in people. I see the pure child in everyone, and I practice forgiveness, right? So this is about saying not what is my agenda, what would be something that helps everyone, right? Unconditional love. Okay. Now let's see what else comes up. I'm going to bring some messages in from the angel back here. I just realized that it is not in order, but we're just going to shuffle anyway, and we'll see what comes up here. All right. What messages here? I just see that there's a whole area here I can get fixed. All right. What messages here do you have for the collective? Under the courage and the holistic leadership, I have the word discernment here. Okay, I'm going to hold that up. Discernment. Discernment means sensing what feels right or wrong, trusting your judgment and acting on it. Your angel guidance is to look at the people and situations in your life now and respond to your gut feeling. Learn to develop your intuition and to ask the angels to help you to discern the good from the bad. Now, that can be a judgment, right? But let's talk about, you can say light or dark, positive or negative, right? Weighing heavier in one direction or the other, right? Learn to develop your intuition and ask them to help you discern the good from the bad, and they will prompt and guide you. Your angel reminds you that when you can be trusted to use discernment, you can serve the universe in a great way. How interesting that I have goosebumps that falls under the holistic leadership, right? When you use your discernment, you can serve the universe in a great way. Okay, the next one that we have is serenity, and this falls under the cooperative ownership of stewardship and the divine fruit. Serenity, here, I'll just show you this is serenity. Serenity bestows inner peace, tranquility, and calmness of mind. When you feel serene, you are your own person, for nothing and no one can bother, upset, or influence you. You are like a calm, clear lake, beautiful and peaceful to be with. Your quiet radiance brings hope and support to those who come within your aura. You attract respect and love from others, for all are calmed by you. As you become deeply serene and still, you connect to the higher powers of the universe for divine guidance, and your path in life becomes smooth and flowing. Quietly ask your angel to hold you in serenity. Such a beautiful message. You know, it falls again under that cooperative ownership of stewardship, right? Think about that, like being part of just part of an area or whatever where, you know, people watch out after each other. And that would go back to that example of like this small town that was, you know, another town was trying to ease it out, if you will, right? um it's funny, I was thinking, is the town, was the town's name Serenity? I don't think it was. um I don't think so. But it's funny, I must watch a television show with that town name. I can't remember what show it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and take the next card here. Okay, this falls under the political will. Again, working for the shared understanding and commitment of all the players. Unconditional love. The word that comes up is abundance. It is time for your life to flow with prosperity, love, and success. You draw from the limitless universal pool according to your belief in how much you deserve. Angel wisdom is reminding you now to believe in yourself and to trust that you deserve more. Then you will attract abundance and the true riches of life. To feel surrounded by love, open your heart to others. Interesting how that falls under that unconditional love. Again, open your heart to others. Choose to do what fulfills you most, and the angels will bring you joy, satisfaction, and success. Enhance your prosperity by receiving graciously, giving out willingly, and saying thank you for everything. Enjoy all you have, and more will come to you. So, lovely message. All right, and then I wanted to take a card here from the deck called the Flower of Life. It's from, it says The Wisdom of Astar by Denise Jarvie. Interesting. Okay, what messages we have here for us? It says God, Goddess. The God here, I'll just hold it up. The God and Goddess are not separate from you. Their stories enlighten you, describing the dance of the creative male and female forces within each and every person. So we all have like the masculine, feminine energies. You are a part of the source, the cosmic heart of all, a willing participant in the eternal cosmic love affair between the physical, the non physical, the God and the goddess, matter and spirit. Allow God Goddess energy to enter your world. Softly and gently close your eyes. Imagine yourself floating into space, a black velvety matrix. All around you are shimmering, twinkling gold and silver stars. Float in the wondrous place of stillness and silence. Breathe in the silence. Through the stillness, you hear whispers flowing from your heart. Rest here, embraced by your soul, the essence of you. Breathe in love. Feel it illuminating and warming every corner of your being. Rest here in the safe arms of all. When you are ready, open your eyes and feel into your day. what is coming to me with this is come to me, all of you who are tired and overburdened, right? You know, when Jesus talks about that, come to me and rest. And so there's a time when we do that for a greater period of time, right? But then there is a time when we can do that in the morning, we can do that in the afternoon, we can do that in the evening, where we just go within and we create the peace and we let everything else go. Excuse me. Okay, what else do we have here? Universal law. Falls on under the cooperative ownership as stewardship. Everything in the universe consists of energy formed into different vibrations. I should show you this. Universal law. Again, formed into different vibrations. So what I'd like to give you a visual before we go any further are same building, different floors, right? Each floor has a different vibration, okay? All that is experienced and created in this life is the result of the magnetic law of attraction. Through this law, energies of the same type come together. Whatever you focus on will come into your life. The universe will never judge you, and as such makes no distinction between good and bad. That's interesting that that came up because of how that other card read, right? That's like a judgment when you say something is good or bad. The universe doesn't really do that. It is all vibrationally speaking. Lighter or dark, positive or negative, vibration faster or slower, right? It only organizes energies according to similarity. Today, create a vision for your life. Feel your vision. So you feel it instead of think it. Think about it, right? And when you embody the feeling of what the life you are creating. So feel the feeling and radiate it through your mind, your body, and your spirit. Hold that feeling, meditate on it, become it, and very soon you will have many manifestations of your highest vision for your life. Okay, I'd like to give you an example of this, and I actually find it interesting that I am going yet to another example because I was speaking about a building and that fell under cooperative ownership of stewardship, right? And my next example is yet about real estate. So let's say that you or someone you know, say you're a parent and you've got someone younger who's maybe never moved out, but they're getting closer to wanting to do that, or a little bit, or you know what I mean? Maybe they have some fears, but these fears are coming up. But this is about helping them to shift from fear to embodying the energy. So it's like getting them excited about the next step, which means instead of just talking about it, or maybe even not talking about or making up excuses as to why something may not work, it's leaning into, well, why don't we go look at places? Let's go look at places. We're going to set up some appointments. Even if everything isn't totally in line yet, it is sending out a message to the universe that says, I am ready to embody this energy. So I'm going to start today by picking up the phone. I thought about it. I'm taking an action step, telling the universe, I'm going to look at places online. I'm going to call, another action step, set up some appointments. Next action step, I'm going to go look at them. And then it's like, okay, focusing in on one or two that are closer to the desires. Again, now all of a sudden, because the vibration is like, yeah, I'm really feeling that. I can really see myself living there. I can really It's same thing. It could be like driving a certain vehicle, going on a particular vacation, spending time with someone, right? I can really see myself there. I can sense what that would feel like. Drive the neighborhood, right? Stop and have coffee or something to eat in the neighborhood like you live there, right? Um, yeah, I can kind of feel this. Drive over there regularly, even if everything isn't in alignment, full alignment yet, because the universe is arranging things as you are calling it in, right? So all these things are starting to come together into alignment. So, all of a sudden it's like, yes, I'm putting this broadcast message out to the universe that, this, I've honed it down. This is the area, this is the place, this is, maybe it's the street, the home, the whatever it is, but this is it. And so it's like, I trust the universe that this is unfolding in perfect timing, that everything that I need is arriving perfectly for me for this experience in my life. I'm excited about it. I am embodying the energy, right? Um, Whatever you focus on will come into your life, right? So focus on the positive, focus on the higher vibrating situations, right? Okay, what else do we have here? Under abundance and integral political will and unconditional love, we have inspired action. That is exactly it, right? So when I was talking about the example, you take an action step and the universe will respond. So you look online, you are looking for a place, you make some phone calls. How does the universe respond? Somebody calls back and says, yep, that time works, right? So let's read this. Inspired action. Get into alignment with, and your action will be enlightened and inspired. Different vibrations will inspire different actions. Again, different floors of the building, if you will. If you are feeling tired, your inspired action will be to rest or sleep. If you are feeling love, you will be inspired to loving actions inward and outward. So you will think loving thoughts and you will do things that emulate love in your day. Difficulties arise when we demand of ourselves things that don't match our current vibration. That's a dissonance or a discord. It creates discord. And so it's also out of alignment because our thoughts are in one place, but our actions are in another. And so we feel it discord. But when our thoughts are one thing and we're like, oh yeah, I can totally see this. I feel this. I just totally feel this. Your heart's there, your thoughts are there, your words are there, your action steps are there. You're right in alignment, right? So again, I'm going to reread that. Difficulties arise when we demand of ourselves things that don't match our current vibration. Everything happens energetically before it happens physically. So when we think about it, our thoughts create things. So the first thing, wherever you live, as an adult, at some point you were thinking about it, right? Some action step happened and there you are. Okay, so if you try to do it the other way around, you will feel frustrated, sad, and defeated. So get into the feeling you think you will feel when you have the thing that you desire, and your inspiration to create more of the same will come to you. Getting that feeling. It's embodying the feeling, not the I think or the I want. It is the words I am, I feel, right? Very powerful. I'm being called to look on the bottom of the deck. No surprise, the word is balance. For you to fulfill your potential, to become all that you can be in every moment, you must be in balance. Otherwise, you are resisting life and creating tension, just like that other card said. This resistance and tension are needed to a certain extent for anything to expand, because it is when we are tired of something we decide to change, right? To expand, grow, and to become more. It is when we become uncomfortable that we say, no, I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for expansion, right? Learn to recognize the resistance rather than letting it run you. Anything you don't like, sense it, feel into it, and the next logical action step will present itself. This step will move you into the direction of your potential, your dreams, and your desires. Take a deep, gentle breath and thank whatever has moved you out of balance. I'm going to give you an example. Say you lived somewhere and you liked it for a long time, and then you had a neighbor or two or something move in, and there was something that was no longer feeling the same. Now, I also want to mention something. The time right now is 4:56, which means progression, 456. It also happens to be December 7th, okay? And sun, even though it's Sunday, I see the word sun. So like your joy, there is joy in this progression, right? The step will help you move in the direction of your potential. So getting back to this neighbor comes along. Now all of a sudden, for some reason, you're not as comfortable as you used to be. Something has shifted, right? Now you're feeling like maybe it's time to do something different because you became uncomfortable, right? So take a deep, gentle breath and to thank whatever has moved you out of balance. This could be with a job. You were there however many years. Now a new person comes in and they're your boss and it's not going well. This is a way the universe will help you shift tracks, if you will. It can feel personal and you can take it personal. But if you read the book by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, one of his agreements is don't take anything personally. Just understand and ask the universe, what are you trying to show me today? What are you trying to show me right now about the situation, about my life, right? Say to yourself, thank you. Thank you for showing me what I really don't want and reminding me to come back to my balanced place where I will be inspired to create what I do want. I am willing to experience all things, for in doing so, I become clearer with my highest loving path. Namaste. Or, my highest living path. Think about that, right? So when we have things that, ask ourselves, are we spending a lot of energy complaining about it, or are we going within and saying, what are you trying to show me? What else would you like for me to see? What else would you like for me to know? Think about your dreams, your hopes. What have you set aside that have been sitting over there, and maybe they've been calling to you, but subconsciously, and you keep pushing it down and you keep pushing it down and you keep doing whatever you're doing because you feel like you've had to, should, need to, whatever that is. But when you start getting into alignment, then things really start taking off for you energetically, spiritually speaking, etc. And you really feel in balance, right? So again, that is a subconscious thing, which I find interesting that I just mentioned that again. Okay. I have another deck here called the Wild Offering Oracle by Tasha Silver. Let's see what wants to step forth with that. Okay, we have spaciousness, right? So what do I no longer need? Help me, God, to release whatever people, places, or things that drain my vital essence. Show me what will fill me with enthusiasm and joy. This is saying what is dragging you down, what is weighing you down. right? And letting go, choosing to release whatever people, places, or things that drain your vital essence. Think about any time you've heard or said anyone say, um, or you just self-recognize that maybe you were on the phone with somebody and afterward you felt drained, right? Um, or you start to notice a pattern in time that each time, right? And then so maybe you step back a little bit. And so it's like, where do you go to places where you feel that you've been drained, not inspired, right? Um, Not recharged, but you've been drained. Things, think about like just whatever things in your home that weigh you down. Maybe you moved a long time ago but you never went through the old boxes, and so you think about it a lot. Maybe you rented a storage and you have all this stuff sitting in storage. You've been paying for the storage for a long time, and it sits there and sits there and sits there, and it's like, because you have this good intention to go through it. Maybe a long time ago you weren't emotionally ready, and you just like, or you think there's value in this stuff, but there is something that is a great release when you say it is time to let it go. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to sort through it. I'm going to donate, and I'm going to free myself. I'm going to give myself space. Not only do you give yourself space from that weighing in on you, you give yourself space from the expense of having the storage unit, right? And then you could take that money and turn that around and put that into something that does recharge you, right? That does fill you with enthusiasm and joy. It's amazing. And when you instead of being held up on, well, that has this value and that has this value, if you let it go and you're like, I'm going to trust that this is going to go where it needs to go. Okay, next one we have is relationship. It says, I call in the innate power of love to take over this union in every way. May it now fully belong to the divine. Let it unfold in the perfect way for each of us. I needn't fear letting go of control. My needs are always abundantly met in relationship. That falls under courage, serenity, and cooperative ownership. Okay. All right. And the next one that we have here is sanctuary. And that falls under the political will, the unconditional love, the abundance, and the inspired action. One of the things I do want to say is, because I was talking about living spaces, right? This type of thing. We create our own sanctuary, right? It is this question, what makes you feel the most peaceful, safe, at ease, the most like your authentic self, right? So sanctuary. A sanctuary resides inside of you no matter what is happening. This inner temple beckons you to enter, to take a breath, to sit down on the throne of your own heart. So whatever is going on around you, think about when someone, they don't want to go home, maybe it's busy, or they don't want to go to work because they're overwhelmed, because maybe they feel like their home is sanctuary. For some people within the home, it might be their room or a living room or a different place in the home where they feel like, yes, here I can be myself. For some people, sanctuary is going into a park, into nature. For some, it's listening to music. For some, it's painting, right? But we all have the ability. It resides within us. So no matter where we are, sanctuary can be with us. right? It is with us. It is up to us to tap into our own inner sanctuary to know that whatever is going on around us, we can be at peace, right? So that is the message for today. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great day. Take care.